you know, so I was on a pretty healthful diet, but the diet I had to go on for this is like, I'm sure anyone would tell you, difficult. And the training was what I love, really working heavy weights. So, and then I'm a performer by nature, I think. So going on the stage, even though I was the only one in my category, the ultra masters, was kind of cool. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like what made you like stop the for like years ago?
I'm sorry you dropped out.
No, what made you stop years ago? When you was bodybuilding.
Oh no, I always worked out, and I always continued to work out. I just, because I love to work out because it feels great. I never worked out like for an effect, like to lose weight or like until the bodybuilding, you want to have an effect. But even there, I'm like, to me, it's about the journey. It's not about winning or losing something. And I just felt like many things in my life that I've tried and I've done, you know, I did it. I don't have any need to do it again. Certain things I do again, and other things, and certain things I continue forever, like the dancing and the weight training will always happen. But the goal will change. Like now I'm getting ready because Broadway Dance Center has brought its student showcases back, which I had always done for years. And though I'm way out of that demographic too, I've started to go to my classes, and I'm determined to do that next year.
Oh, so you teach it the Broadway dances?
I don't teach there. No, I'm a student.
Okay. Oh, yeah. You're a student. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know a lot of the teachers there.
What made you want to do dancing, if I could ask you that question?
Yeah, I've always loved to dance. I'm like, I say I'm the queen of freestyle. So even as a teenager, when we used to change our proof to get into clubs, my girlfriend and I would put up on the table to dance. And, you know, it's just been a thread in my life always. And I like freestyle because it's easier than having to remember choreography, and I can do my own thing. But of course, you know, I've done shows and I've done performances where I, you know, remember choreography and do choreography. But again, it's the feeling. I love the feel of movement, of feeling my body moving, of pushing my body's limits. I always say, the one thing I regret is not taking martial arts so I could run up the wall like Jackie Chan. That was like a fantasy.
Well, you can still learn.
I think I need to put something like that on hold. But yeah, so it's just the enjoyment of it. You know, I'm different from a lot of people that say they hate to work out, and, you know, I feel bad that they feel that way, but they probably haven't found what, you know, feels good for them.
Yeah. What was that? What was it like on competing on stage with other competitors?
Well, that happened. It's funny. That happened the first time, like 22 years ago, and I was new, and all the other women had competed before, and they were very supportive and, you know, fun. But, you know, I did look. I say I compete with myself, which I do. I'm the hardest critic there. So I want to be better and better. But, you know, I looked and I said, I'm up there. So I'm up there with that. I placed, even though I had never done it before, I placed in open, and at that point I was a master's already. I was 54. And this time around, I was the only person on stage. And until this past one, where because I had been the only one the previous year, they put a woman who was 40, who didn't really know bodybuilding, on the stage with me. So that was a bit of a mistake on their part. But I don't care. You know, you know, as a writer, I remember an editor that I became friendly with and said, do you know how many proposals come across my desk every day? And I said, well, as long as I have work, what am I going to think about what other people are doing? So it's the same idea. I'm there with myself, and other people are there. That's fine. I don't pit myself against them. We're all different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, bodybuilding, it's like what I've learned, bodybuilding, it's very different from other sports. You're not it's like a selfish sport, but it's very extreme from what I've seen, with other bodybuilders. It depends.
Well,
Natural bodybuilding.
Even earlier, I did natural. So I never
Yeah.
took anything. I mean, I took protein
Right.
powder, but I never took all the other stuff. I mean, a lot of people, men and women,
Yeah.
take steroids and this and that and the other. And yeah, it can be. I mean, I don't personally like that look when it's sort of overdone. It looks like
Right.
they're not human. So what I like about natural,
Yeah.
aside from the fact that it's safe and all this, is that
Yeah.
it's natural. You're a person doing this, and that's part of why I think, other people can maybe look at me and I can say, yes, if you want to do this, you can do it, but you can also do a whole host of other things.
Right. But you don't look intimidating, It's like somebody see you and you're like, is that a man? Or, it's not like that with you.
I know. I do remember people saying I look like the most feminine bodybuilder they ever saw. And I know when I was training the first time, I kept referring to my boyfriend at the time so that people would know, hey, I'm straight.
Yeah.
I've always been that way. So it's not like everybody's gay or a lesbian, whatever their, preferences are. But I don't think that enters into it. It's really the person, the personality.
Yeah, I mean, there's women bodybuilders that look feminine, but they still get that flack about women like the muscle and stuff. So yeah, but I know that you was on the news. You was on a talk show or something like that. With these two young ladies.
Yeah, I had a lot of media coverage the first time I did this. I worked with a PR firm for about 6 months. Then it was so expensive, and I got coverage. The coverage was not so I could be on an ego trip, because I don't need that. People have been telling me so my whole life. It was, again, to reach a wide audience. That's what I felt, this is how I can do that. And I did to an extent. And it did include 2 TV appearances, one with I forgot the names of the 2 shows. Ron Lee on Spectrum, and the other one. And I that's part of that other one has to do with my commitment to posture. So I've developed 2 posture programs. I did a DVD years ago. It's called Posture Size. I went around and did that. And then I had another iteration called Posturability, which is about the link between posture and self-esteem. So we did posture stuff on that segment. Yeah.
Hey, how you doing, George? Good evening. Yeah. So how serious people need to focus on their posture? Because I see you talk about that a lot.
I do. Posture to me is everything, because you need posture for function. You can't pick up a box. You got to pick up a box. You got to carry packages. You have to do daily activities without injuring yourself. And you have to be capable of doing them. So that's what good posture gives you. And, it involves working the back, the part of the body that people don't look at when they look in the mirror and they start criticizing themselves. But you need to work on your back. You need to understand that posture, a good posture, is dynamic. It's not just about sitting like this. You know, I mentioned the word posture and people go, oh, you know, I'll take a sit up, or standing like a soldier. I mean, it's about, if you go to the gym, you know, doing exercises with appropriate form. It's about knowing how to do things. And also, then we get into that connection between posture and self-esteem. Would you rather have me sitting here talking to you like this or like this? Yeah, I would do. You know, with my neck down, and like, which is what people get with their phones and stuff like that. Right. So with good posture, you can breathe better, your energy comes out more, and you make a better appearance. People want to be about it. So in a nutshell, that's it about posture. So I keep giving out that message.
So like what kind of exercises like you help people do to improve on their posture?
Yes. So just a minute. I'm saying that on my website, getunbent.com, and on mainly my social media on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are a lot of these exercises that I'm doing every week in reels. But basically, the first thing is to get a strong back. So you do things like rows. If you're in the gym, you don't have to be in the gym. You can use, start with body weight, and then you can use bands, you can use free weights, but you need to work your back and get the back muscles strong, because the chest muscles are bigger than the back muscles, and they're going to be pulling you down. You've got to be able to hold everything up. Now, I know women in particular, when I ran my fitness business and we worked on posture, and we're like, oh, you know, people will think I'm sticking my chest out. But if you look in the mirror, you're not sticking your chest out. You're just not used to the feeling of having your chest lifted up. So there's a whole connection between what the body does with posture and how it makes you feel, and then the kind of impression that you give others.
Yeah.
And other exercises along with that, anything that's full body and strengthens the body, strengthens the core. So that can be, like I just did last week, even just wall push-ups, not regular push-ups. Of course, regular push-ups, that strengthens the whole body, upper and lower. You need both. The torso needs a strong foundation to sit on, but it also needs to be strong to be up.
Okay. Well, I could show some clips of you talking about posture.
Really?
I had some few clips.
Come closer. I'm going to show you a secret exercise, and you're going to look like you lost 5 pounds in 5 seconds and fixed your posture. Put your hands on your lower abdomen and use your imagination. Suck it in, suck it up. Feel like it's coming up behind your chest. And what happens? Your chest is open, your shoulders are down, you're standing tall, and you look thinner. How about that?
Yeah, that's a little trick that I actually saw many years ago in physical therapy information. So.
All right. So you studied physical therapy?
Yeah, I didn't study that, but I did, I didn't study. I did my own work, because if I was going to run a posture program, I had to know what I was talking about. So I did. And, there are techniques like the Alexander technique, for example. There are established techniques. And to me, as an impatient person who wants to get moving, I don't want to read about all the things I'm supposed to do and all the minutiae about it. That's when I created Posture Size. Posture Size was with bands and standing. That's another thing. I'm a big fan of standing exercises, because I know there's Pilates on the floor and stuff like that. But in life, we're not on the floor most of the time. We're in the stuff in the world. So I think people need to know and feel what it feels like to be doing things. I hate the word correctly or properly, but they are, while you're standing and while you're doing.
You know, it's almost similar to yoga, if I could say that.
Yes, and yoga helps to. There's everything that strengthens your core, that makes you feel good about yourself, because that's going to affect your posture. These are all things that are helpful. Things that are not helpful. I remember when I was starting my fitness business, when you start in a gym, I won't mention the name, but in most of them, you have to run around the floor and try to get clients. And I would go to these big guys who were working out, and they were working with weights that were way too heavy for them. And then they're like this, pushing down here, and you get upper cross syndrome. And you've seen them all. I mean, not just guys, but usually guys, and they're all built up, and they have very skinny legs and stuff. So I would go to the guys and I'd say, do you mind if I lower the weight? So that freaks out a lot of guys, and they don't want less weight. But the ones who did allow it, and then did feel, when I showed them, try it this way, when you're standing up and you're doing that, they felt the muscles working, and they became my clients.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, you have to be able to be willing to understand when you may be doing something that's harming you, or that there may be a better way to do something and get the same thing accomplished. And then you can build up the weight gradually.
Yeah. All the rage, George Page, bad posture takes time to break. People do things out of habit.
Right. Totally correct. Yeah. Any habit, habit takes time to break, whether it's eating, whether it's how you're working out, whether it's what time you get up in the morning. If you want to change some, and that's another excellent point that I try to make in presentations. People think that they're going to change their posture, for example, and they're going to feel great. They'll start an exercise and they'll feel great. And I'll say, no, you're not going to feel great. You're going to feel very uncomfortable. You'll feel uncomfortable because you're not used to moving or standing or whatever in that way. And that's what happened. They were like, oh, I'm falling. No, you're not falling. It's just that you're not used to how to stand in this particular way. So it is a process that, and why it takes time. It not only takes time, it takes commitment and perseverance and understanding that you sort of go through the tunnel and you come out the other end, but you got to go through the tunnel. You can't leap over it.
Yeah. Why don't you take us through your training? Like what do you do during the week?
Yeah. So when I was preparing for the bodybuilding competition, we pretty much worked similarly every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. We did, like I did lower body, I did the walking lunges and leg, hamstring curls and all that other stuff. And then I did a lot of exactly what I'm telling you, rows, shoulder work, because, you want to have nice shoulders, of course, bicep curls so pretty typical heavy weight exercises, raising the weight.
Sorry.
That's okay. Raising the weight, incrementally, because that's the other thing. You need to be able to progress. There are people that I know in the gym, and my trainer knows for years, they work the same, they're still working at the same weights. Why isn't their body changing? Because they haven't changed the weights, they haven't progressed. So that's why I had a trainer from very early on. I knew that person's I'll pick the right person to push me, further than I would push myself. So that's what we did now, because I'm changing and I want to do more dance stuff. I'm doing more fun things, like you may have seen that reel with slamming the ball down, and
I got a couple of reels that I put together. I wish I could. I wish I could go to your Instagram, but sometimes my computer acts up. So what I did, I got some clips
No,
of
I
you.
appreciate that. Just surprised me. That's
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So just bodybuilding, everything is a process. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything is a process. Everything is a journey. People want to think and then they're going to have a goal and then they're going to meet it. You meet a goal, you move on to the next goal. You don't meet, you don't do something necessarily because there's a goal there. You have to enjoy the process and understand that, as I always say, do nothing, nothing happens. Yeah. If you do something, something always happens, even if it's not what you expected. And that's what life is, being open to that.
What would you say is a struggle for you at times that you overcame?
I had the good fortune of having a horrible childhood where I had to take care of myself basically from very young age and walk to school by myself and do all these things. So what I realized afterwards that in that process of actually succeeding in doing that, I became very self-confident. So I became confident in my ability to do the kinds of things that I choose to do. I'm sure there are things I can't do. I don't choose to do them. I think if I have challenges, they're mainly mental. They're like going into Broadway Dance Center and then seeing parents of children in the class making faces at me because they feel like, what's she doing in the, it's this negative energy coming at me that I feel bad about. Now I let it go. But, I understand some people are automatically competitive with me or whatever. And because my mother was very competitive, I'm very sensitive to that. So it's more about kind of mental things that I have to overcome because they're ingrained from childhood. And I have to understand, I'm not that child anymore. My mother's not around anymore. And these people really are showing who they are. It has nothing to do with me. It's just projected onto me. So I think that.
Yeah, I think the same thing at times, like just trying to do things and don't care what people think. Sometimes it can be a little difficult.